गुड आफ्टरनून जानवी जी। हेलो। जानवी जी, आपकी आवाज नहीं आ रही।
अभी आ रही है।
हाँ, अभी आ रही है। मैं
हैप्पी रक्षाबंधन।
हैप्पी रक्षाबंधन। मैं मैं आपको होस्ट बनाता हूँ। अभी
जी
क्लाउड
जी।
रिकॉर्डिंग पे मैंने सेट कर दिया है। आप
हम्म।
किसी को भी चाहो तो को होस्ट बना सकती हो, किसी को होस्ट नहीं बनाना। उसके नीचे
ठीक है।
को होस्ट रहता है मैम। तो आप को
ठीक है।
होस्ट किसी को भी चाहो बना सकती हो, किसी को होस्ट नहीं बनाना।
ठीक है।
बराबर है, ताकि कंट्रोल आपके पास ही रहे मैम। अभी आपको पता जैसे मैंने आपको होस्ट बनाया, देखो अभी बना दिया। अभी आप होस्ट हो। नीचे
ओके।
अभी पार्टिसिपेट पे क्लिक करोगे तो राइट हैंड साइड पे आपको होस्ट दिखेगा।
हाँ हाँ।
अभी आप ओरो यूनिवर्सिटी दिख रही है ना, उसके ऊपर
हम्म
ऊपर उसके ऊपर कर्सर लेके जाओगे, मोर पे क्लिक करोगे तो
हम्म।
आपको नीचे कोर्स करके ऑप्शन दिखेगा।
हाँ।
तो बस वैसे ही आपको किसी को कोर्स बनाना है तो आप बना सकते हो, किसी
ठीक है।
को होस्ट नहीं बनाना है।
ठीक है।
जिसको होस्ट बनाओगे वो अपना जूम का मतलब शेयर स्क्रीन का ऑप्शन उसको दिखेगा।
ठीक है।
बराबर है। एंड नहीं करना है आपको किसी भी हाल में मीटिंग।
तो
अगर
एंड आप करोगे
नहीं,
तो?
एंड जब आप मीटिंग खत्म हो जाए, ये वेबिनार खत्म हो जाए तब आप एंड करना।
ओके। हाँ हाँ।
उससे पहले नहीं।
ठीक है।
बराबर है। तो मैं लीव करता हूँ, कुछ प्रॉब्लम हो तो एक बार कॉल कर देना।
ठीक है। नो प्रॉब्लम।
ओके ओके ओके।
थैंक यू। Good evening, everyone, and welcome, Ms. Geeta, for the day second of
Suno?
sorry. Welcome you all for the day second of foundation course of sports nutrition. It is my humble request to all the participants, kindly inform your
Oh
friends.
dear, my class starts in 5 minutes. Okay, can you just listen? My class starts in 5 minutes, an emergency.
Please inform your friends to join on time. We have 5 minutes.
But it's not working.
Geeta, don't worry. Take your time. And you can unmute yourself meanwhile you are preparing yourself for the presentation.
Lord, what to do now?
Do you need any help, Ms. Geeta?
The connection working. Where's your Wi-Fi?
No, but till now I was using.
A host can unmute.
No, I'm.
See, call.
Okay, what to do now? Audio, till now I've used, I have no. Yeah.
Yeah, waited.
Johnny, can you hear me?
Geeta, I'm able to hear you now. Are you okay? Complete. Acha, Manish ji ho gaya.
I joined from the reminder, probably as a participant that I joined.
Okay, have you registered also in the same course?
I have no idea. I received a reminder, so I joined logging that, but not as a speaker.
Finalist. Fine.
The heart attack that was, my God. Close
No,
call.
no problem. It's happened. We are in digital arena, so everything is okay. Some technical glitches are always there.
Great, great. So we have quite a bit to do today. So I think our participants, where are they? 100 folks. I only see 35.
Yeah, even I have texted them in a group. We have made one WhatsApp group.
Oh,
So
great.
today is our Gujarati's festival, Raksha Bandhan.
Oh, okay, okay.
Yeah.
I remember you asked me, would you be okay to do the session today? I remember you asked me.
So many would be busy in all the rituals and all. So We'll wait for 5 minutes if you are
Oh,
okay.
yes. Surely. And whatever balance is there, we can continue next week. Because today I have a feeling the load of the slides is a bit heavy.
Oh,
But anyway, we can do facts in the next week because we can continue with the mineral vitamins and we can adjust.
great.
Thankfully, it's a long session, no, 1.5 hour session. So
Fine. So today, if any participants who wants to ask question during your slides, we will allow them, right?
So, Janvi, that's what we discussed. But at the same time, we have to really be able to, what we can do, Janvi, is if you can moderate this and pick up the most appropriate 1 or 2 questions. I don't know how we can work this out because we're doing this on a trial basis.
Agreed.
If I have over 45 slides and I need to speak only for over 45 minutes, that means the minute we start taking questions, we need extra 1 or 2 minutes in the slide.
More than that, because
Yes,
you
absolutely.
need
Then we will
to,
not have.
to build that rapport and everything.
So what we can do, Janvi, then we will not have a Q&A session in the end. So we wrap up as we take on the slide.
Great, no problem.
So
So
we will take
all the participants, you are requested to raise your hand whenever you have a question. So if I'll see any one raising their hand out there, then I will allow you to talk. And we will announce your name also, so you can understand that who has to share their question. So that would be more easy, and it will take less time. Fine.
Yeah, maybe we should get our participants to remind everyone else to join.
Yeah, I have texted them.
Because this is their class, and what will we do with less than 50% strength?
Agree.
My heart will not be in starting.
Yeah, I have already texted them that.
Okay,
Yeah.
sure. Yeah, because eventually then they will lose out on 1 or 2.
They'll be missing very informative information, and probably for next session they might not understand because they have missed the second session. So
Yes.
I totally agree.
Good evening, Prem. So we have some courtesies. We'll exchange some courtesies till everybody joins. Prem, get your friends to join. Yeah, or any 1 or 2 questions we can take now till we have anybody wants to ask me anything, please feel free.
Miss Yashaswini has raised her hand. I'm allowing you to talk. You can unmute yourself.
Okay, Prem. Yes, guys.
Yes, Ashwini, you can share your question.
Okay, she's not there. Prem is asking, can I take collagen? Okay, so Prem, collagen is really dependent on why you need to take it. So typically, so far in my experience, I have used it only for injury where there has been an issue with, say, a ligament tear, and we have used it for, the rehabilitation period. So my knowledge of collagen use is only limited to this, okay? So it depends why you are going to take, right? So otherwise, collagen is actually, speaking, it's a low quality protein. Okay, collagen to gelatin. Yeah. So if you see from where it comes, there is again a science, but then it can help strengthen especially if you have a ligament or injury to the tendon, then it can be beneficial. I haven't used anything beyond of that. Okay. So. Oh, so there's somebody messaging. Okay, Luna. I don't know. I can't see the full name. So, yeah, Raksha Bandhan. Oh, then we could have skipped today. But anyway, suggest foods rich in collagen. Collagen comes from the bones. So obviously it's a non-vegetarian choice. So all the meats, chicken, because, yeah, it comes typically from non-veg food. Oh dear, why in God's name will a healthy person, normal person take collagen? You eat your food, na? Conventionally, we teach carb loading. Oh dear. Okay, these questions are all over the place. Yesterday we finished chapter carbohydrate. Today we are moving to proteins. And carbohydrate loading we will do in detail in endurance chapter. Okay? Because without understanding carbohydrate loading, you won't be able to practice endurance sports like, triathlon or any other event where you have more than 2 hours of, physical activity.
Miss Luna, you can ask your question. I have added you in the list.
Right.
You can unmute yourself.
Thank you, Janvi ji. Ma'am, hello, ma'am.
Hi, Luna.
Ma'am, I wanted to ask a good mix of electrolyte during or pre-workout, or yes, workout, ma'am.
Okay, so Luna, if you see pre-workout, you really don't need any electrolyte, drink. You just look at, in the hydration chapter in the coming week, we will study about the hydration guidelines. So
Right.
basically, you need over 5 ml of water, prior to beginning your exercise itself, and that again depends on what kind of exercise is it. Is it exercise that is done outside in the warm climatic conditions, like is it football or a marathon running, or is it an indoor sport? Indoor sports also you can sweat. So based on that we can play along with the salt intake and the water intake. But during the workout, if you see any electrolyte, now there are a lot of products that actually come up with the hydration formulation, be it powders or drinks, or there are energy drinks and also even sports drinks. Now, again, you cannot generalize and say that, it is dependent. Probably, I think this question will be dealt in detail in the coming week in hydration chapter. So
All right,
probably,
all right.
yeah. So, but
Ma'am, a
any
homemade
electrolyte mix is the same. It's a standard composition of an isotonic, which we talked of isotonic drinks yesterday. Would you remember that?
slightly we did, slightly.
Yes. So would
Very
you know how much
briefly.
is the
So,
percentage of
ma'am,
carbohydrate in isotonic drink?
yes. So, sir, what I remember was 60
6%.
gram on the second hour.
Oh, no. Isotonic
Oh,
drink is not the amount of carbohydrate consumption during exercise. Isotonic drink means in
okay.
the water there is 6% of sugar.
6. All right.
Okay? So we will deal with this in detail in the coming week. Hydration.
So, ma'am, in a very layman's term, what could be a homemade electrolyte drink during workout?
Okay, so Luna, like I discussed, let us do this in the next class. I think,
All
Janvi,
right, ma'am.
because
Right.
it's already 10 minutes into the class, my worry is I have lots to finish today and it is an actually important chapter. So I'm just thinking that
Start, Gita, and let them join. At least we'll follow our rituals to start our session
I
on
know,
a time.
right. Because my concern is, I know that we planned for this and, I don't want to kind of, because we have quite a bit to cover in the other chapters also.
Exactly.
So Luna, we will discuss that in detail, okay? And
Yes, thank you, ma'am.
yeah, great.
Thank you, ma'am.
Isotonic is what you suggested, right? 100 for 100 ml it is 6%. So meaning you can do your math and mix and match, okay? Someone's watching. Okay, guys, I think we will start the chapter. Probably we'll save the questions, okay? There's somebody is asking about weight loss. Maybe you can just bring that up at a right context. So I don't want to delay. We've already just lost out on. Can I share my screen?
Please,
Janvi, you'll have to enable me to.
just give me 1 minute.
Okay, surely. Nice of you and the team, Janvi. Thank you for being even your, in spite of your festival, you all have taken time to do this.
So is there to help the community? It's
uh,
our duty.
Nice. So
You can share your screen.
okay, great. Okay, yeah, guys, and also the request to the participants, please get everybody on board if possible, so that this is quite an interesting chapter. I don't want the participants to miss out. Okay, so yes, guys, so we start with today's chapter, and there you go. So I think the introduction and everything else remains the same. So today's outline is mainly learning about the protein. So what are proteins, from where do you get them, who needs the supplements, and what are supplements, who are the ones who can benefit from using these. Obviously there are advantages and disadvantages to everything. Okay, so the basic supplementation protocol, which is validated by the IOC, and one case study. Of course I have a few slides for also fat. So if we finish the protein, then maybe we can take that on. Okay, but of course we have decided to keep this interaction going with every slide. So maybe we can take one or two most related questions to that slide. Okay, and it can actually help everybody understand the topic better. Now yesterday we were understanding about how carbohydrates are basically energy yielders, meaning that for me to do my exercise itself, I need a lot of carbohydrate before, during, and definitely even afterwards for my glycogen resynthesis, that is called as recovery. Now similarly, the protein has a different set of functions. So if you kind of go back to my first slide of yesterday's chapter, if you remember, we had three food groups. We had carbohydrates, protein, and fats, which are basically the macronutrients. So today we are dealing with the protein vertical, the food group of proteins. Now proteins also have extremely important functions because they are mainly responsible for taking care of the muscles in the body, muscle mass. So basically repair, maintenance, and also making of muscles. So obviously muscles, whenever there are athletes who look at muscle building, they also have muscle loss because there is a wear and tear. Every time you exercise, muscles just don't build. Delayed onset muscle soreness or DOMS, why does it occur? Because there is a strain on these muscles, and there is definitely going to be catabolism or breakdown of the muscles. So proteins are also digestion. Like, if you see all your enzymes, like you eat your chicken and eggs and you feel a bit of acidity in the stomach, because typically you do hear athletes, especially when they have late training and it goes into past 8 or later, and the kids eat, or for that matter anybody who eats very high non-veg foods in the night, they may have a bit of discomfort. Or even for that matter, who has very little time between their lunch and their afternoon training, be it a gym session or also the evening training session, then they may feel very heavy, because protein foods also come with not just the protein, they also come with a bit of fat. And yesterday we talked of the caloric value of the fat, and how proteins are also very dense. They stay in the stomach for longer time, and they release some secretion of the stomach acids, okay, for digestion, like HCl. So all your digestive function itself is because of the protein. Similarly, your buffering, maintenance of your pH. Okay, so then your blood, RBC, red blood cells, they are also part of your protein. And even for that matter, hemoglobin, albumin. So these aspects, they're all parts of protein. So basically protein is there in every part of the body. So most importantly, now with coronavirus, we're talking about our antibodies. Now antibodies are also protein. So that's why we say, there is a lot of work that has been done on Indian community, and we know that we are a very carb centric. I mean, not all of us, we can't generalize, but yes, there is a predominance of carbohydrate rich foods, be it rice, roti, aloo. So these are part of our cultural intake. So if you see, even in South India, we have a lot of rice based item, from poha to all the rice based idli, dosa, and things like that, which are all basically carbohydrate very heavy. So there is a need for protein intake in all meals, because it's difficult to make up for the quantity. Especially athletes have very high demand, which you will learn in the coming slide. So your antibodies itself will suffer, or your immunity can be lowered if there is not adequate protein. So similarly, like even my hair, okay, hair, nails, they're all tertiary structures, meaning that they also contain some protein in them. And also your somebody asked me, should I take collagen? Now connective tissue is like the cementing material, so that is what binds. So collagen can be helpful when taken at the for the right reasons, okay, where connective tissue is basically what will keep everything together, like a binding material. And definitely we have your neurotransmitters like serotonin. We know that tryptophan is a amino acid that comes from eating non-vegetarian foods, and tryptophan converts to serotonin, which is basically again a brain chemical or a neurotransmitter. and that can influence your recovery, your sleep, the way you feel. It's a calming hormone. Definitely also there are source of essential amino acids, most important when we will talk about it in a bit, where we cannot make these amino acids on our own. They have to be taken from the food. So now, who are the people who need more protein? Okay, so now when we talk of protein, a healthy individual itself needs anywhere between 0.8 gram to 1 gram per kg body weight. And this is just a ballpark reference, meaning that if you are actually going to be eating good quality protein, meaning those that have all the good, like you have, say, a wall and you break it down, there are actually small little bricks that have been pushed inside in order to make that wall. So if you have the protein that gets broken down and you break it down into small bits, the small little bricks are called amino acids. Now, everybody needs proteins for survival, because from my skin to any part of the body is actually protein, from including the fort or the wall around the cell called as the phospholipid bilayer. Basically, anything and everything is made of protein in the body, including our own stomach, the stomach walls to the gastrointestinal tract to the lining. Now, so normal human beings itself, to be healthy, need that 0.8 gram of protein per kg body weight. Now, who are the ones who would need more? Somebody who is physically active, who is exercising regularly. Definitely somebody who is going to the gym, because then if you're having wear and tear and require to increase your muscle mass, then you definitely need to adjust your protein, which means that it needs to go up. And definitely as a professional athlete, elite athlete is somebody who plays at a very high level. So those athletes who train very intense and they have very high training load, obviously because of their performance goals, will have very, very high amount of protein, maybe even 3 times of what a normal human being would need. Now, not just somebody who's exercising, right? So you also have your metabolism or metabolic rate that keeps coming down as you age. And also there is a loss of muscle tone or muscle mass in the elderly. Elderly meaning anybody who starts aging and is not taking care. So the only 2 ways to maintain your muscle mass is by weight bearing exercise and by taking good, healthy, balanced diet, including protein. So there is something called a sarcopenia, which means that there is a loss of muscle mass as you age, and that is again, it can lead to a lot of other challenges. So because once you have weak muscles, you are injury prone, and you have other challenges. So it's always good to maintain that good muscle strength. Now, vegetarians and vegetarians, especially if you're not even consuming, say, for example, eggs, then there is the only quality protein come from dairy, meaning milk. Now, vegans, now this has become quite popular with Game Changers. Okay, it was quite an uproar sometime 1 year ago. Now, vegan is somebody who will not consume any product that comes from animal source, including milk. So they will not consume eggs and no non-vegetarian foods. Obviously, for them, there is a challenge to get good quality proteins, and you'll understand why as I go into the coming slides. And definitely somebody who is, say, very seriously unwell, like with coronavirus. We've been talking also of how your immunity is compromised. There's a cytokine storm, and we've been talking of, there's been a lot of, in the coming chapter, we'll study about minerals, vitamins, where we're going to talk about how vitamin D, zinc, okay, so many other interrelated minerals, vitamins actually play a role in illness, managing your health and maintaining your nutritional status. So protein becomes the first important point, or the most prioritized intake, because your antibodies, your overall immunity is also related to good, protein in your diet. So somebody who can have, these kind of also health conditions, surgery, burns, definitely cancer, HIV, say for that matter, even an athlete who has had, some injury, a bone fracture, which is quite common. So even those, they're not only looking at calcium and vitamin D for bone strengthening, but they definitely have to look at, also we talked about it yesterday, if you're on a carb restricted diet. Somebody asked me the question before we started, if you're in a carb restricted diet, then how do we maintain the weight? You have to automatically increase the protein intake. So it is very important that if you are on a hypocalorie, meaning you're going to look at weight loss and you're going to consume lesser food, automatically you have to increase your protein intake. Otherwise, the body can go into loss of metabolic rate, and that is not desirable. Now, there are two types of protein foods, and sorry, some of these things may be a bit, if you already have some nutritional background, these are the basics that you should know. But considering we have a lot of, other connected, field and participants who I'm sure are from different areas. So I'm just giving the basis to all of this. So some of you who already done this, kindly bear with me, okay? Now, again, understanding the quality of the protein. Now, in the vegetarians, we mainly depend on dals, nuts, pulses, sprouts. Now, these lack an amino acid. So we have 8 amino acids which the body cannot make, and it has to be given from the food. But the dals will lack one amino acid called as methionine. Now, whereas the eggs, non-veg, chicken, fish, red meat, poultry, that is meaning eggs and chicken, all of these foods have all the 8 essential amino acids, which we will learn about in a bit. Now, they're complete, meaning that you don't have to worry about the quality. They are already full and they are complete, meaning that they can be a full value addition. So what happens to a vegetarian guy who probably is not going to be consuming non-veg? So how do they manage with their, missing that one amino acid which is missing, which is methionine? They can do something called as complementation, meaning that you will eat cereals, meaning the grains, jowar, bajra, rice, wheat, quinoa, any grain. Grains lack one amino acid called as lysine, and dals lack methionine. So you will combine them. जैसे कि हमारा Indian diet में जो होता है, which is popularly practiced, in a similar way, be idli, dosa, khichdi, rajma chawal, rajma roti, dal, chapati. So all of these, and of course, if it's a continental or a Western concept, you have beans on toast. Okay. So similarly, you mix these two so that the lysine and the methionine, which is lacking in each of them, will combine together and the amino acid profile goes up. Now, this is extremely interesting, and everybody please pay attention. Now, this is nothing but the fermented soya. Okay, I'm sure people have eaten this or have used it, or you at least studied about it. Now, in the vegetarian diet, this can be a very important value addition, because protein foods are also extremely important for B12, vitamin B12 formation. And vitamin B12, in the next chapter, you will read about the vitamins, or you will study about the vitamins in detail. Now, vitamin B12 comes only from the non-vegetarian foods. Our dals also will not be able to offer that for you. So the only high quality beans is that soya bean. Now, soya on its own, when you use the soya bean at home, is not highly recommended, because it has a lot of anti-nutritional properties or certain nutrients which are not very favorable. They have something called as phytic acid, and they also have very high amount of fat, and not to mention definitely the fiber. So what is this little piece of, or the photo that you see here in the photo? This is tempeh, meaning it's a fermented soy. So fermentation actually reduces these anti-nutritional properties called as your trypsin inhibitors, or those, nutrients. Everything in the body is a balance. So some of these actually are like oxalates, phytates. Phytic acid itself is an antioxidant in the body. It has some good functions. But when you take them too much, especially in a vegetarian diet, these can become very high, because the non-veg foods don't have these. Whereas vegetarian dals, pulses, whole grains, all of them have a lot of these phytic acids. So they will reduce the absorption of iron, zinc, calcium. So fermentation can reduce all of that. And also soya. Now, though soya is extremely high in all the amino acid, meaning it's the only pulse that is complete. It has all the amino acids and B12. It's excellent to reduce cholesterol. It has got these isoflavones, which can actually prevent cancer. It is great for post-menopausal women. However, there is also plant estrogen present in them. So if you may have heard, should men eat soya or soya products? Now, this is something that even as a dietitian, though I've been practicing for so long, sometimes I lack the clarity on how much is it safe and when to take. So I will say, Go easy. Though there is not conclusive data to say that, you know, the plant estrogen can lower the male sexual hormone called testosterone. There is not very concrete data on that. But however, to be on the safer limit, we will say go with 25 grams as the upper limit or the maximum amount of intake in each day, so that, you know, to be on the, if we, especially if you consume soya products regularly, be it in fact processed soya like soya chunks, soya nuggets, soya granules, tofu again, which is a soya bean, like a paneer, what is made out of soya bean, those kind of options are definitely, they're defatted, which means that they're lower in fat. And definitely this tempeh, which is fermented soy, is also a great option, especially because Asians, they have used this a lot. And also it depends as to who reacts to these soya products as responders. That again depends on so many other complications in terms of your genetic endowment. Have you grown up eating soya regularly in your diet all through? So if you see, this is a part of several Asian countries and they've always done well eating soya. So yeah, that's $1 million question. Okay, this is an extremely interesting slide, and I'd like you guys to pay attention to this. The reason why I talked of, we're talking a whole lot of jargon of how much protein we must take, and you know, everybody is obsessed about the protein. Nobody talks of the quality of the handling of the protein in the diet. Now if you see, I wish I could have asked you questions as to what do you see in this photograph. Actually it's a overdone bullseye. Okay, so basically if you see this photograph, what is happening here is, since the egg has been overhandled, meaning that it has got burnt, it's overdone, and where the actually cooking of protein improves the absorption at all given times. However, but if you overcook it, okay, like what has happened in this photograph, many people actually don't take care. Many times, including me, I'm extremely particular about the kind of food I eat or the way I cook. And I, till date, I've been very fortunate. I've come a long way, but today I cannot even keep a help at home, or I cook my own food till date. And we typically are vegetarian 99.99%, and we eat home cooked food. Quite boring, I must say, for those who are listening, but yes, that's what it is. So I'm very particular about the, you know, sometimes in spite of being particular, I sometimes do burn when the oil comes to a smoke point, or, you know, by mistake, I, you know, burn the tadka. So as much as I want to take care and be attentive, but there are distractions, I'm multitasking. So this overdone egg here in the photograph, meaning that if you cook it to very high temperature, instead of the protein changing its structure and becoming highly absorbable, it actually denatures further. So if you are cooking your protein at a very high temperature and unnecessarily for longer time, like your pizza, if you go to a restaurant and sometimes order these pizza and you see that totally crisp cheese on top, if it's a bad quality cheese, is totally burnt and chewy like some rubber, it's useless because the body will not absorb the protein out of it. Okay, and besides, anyway, there's a lot of oil and so many other complications. So also be attentive to the way you handle the food. Now with the protein chapter, I thought I must also positively highlight one important thing here is the cooking method, which I'm emphasizing here. What happens to this again here is your tandoori food. I know a lot of, you know, clients who actually think that, you know, your tandoori food, grilled food is healthy because it is not deep fried. Just now I was talking in the previous slide of how the cooking method impacts the quality of your protein and the absorption, you know, that is digestion absorption. So at even these kind of temperatures, we have these cancerous hydrocarbons. Okay, they called what are they? Aromatic hydrocarbons. So basically the structure changes. So anything that is subjected to high temperature or being smoked, what we call the tandoori foods, which is quite popular in India. That is why I really wanted to mention this one aspect today, that if you are looking at protein intake in these kind of foods, it actually not healthy, not just the artificial color, but then the protein changes and they become cancerous. So eat charbroiled foods, the tandoori food, barbecued food, grilled food very rarely, especially the burnt bits, okay, the carbon soot. The burnt bits are the dangerous part. So please never eat that. You can actually scrape it off. just like acrylamide. If you see the French fries, or for that matter, your toast. Like sometimes I also off late I've taken a great liking to this toast and butter, though bread is not a part of my diet mostly. But I do enjoy a very crisp and a kadak toast. So then I realized that the overdone toast, if it is slightly, though it gives a lovely aroma and a flavor of dextrinized, basically the starch that becomes sweeter when you toast it. But if it's overdone, it's really bad, because then it's very high in acrylamide, and that's not good. Okay, that's the glycotoxins we call it. Okay, glycation. So that's not good. Like Maillard's reaction, whenever there's a carb and a protein interaction. So these things you have to take care. So by default, avoid high temperatures and longer duration. Now, on that aspect, maybe someone should remind me, can you cook with whey protein supplement? Very popular. You go to Instagram, you will see every influencer making something fancy. That's another thing maybe we should take it up as a question and discuss and debate about it. Okay. Now, if you see the protein needs, anywhere between 0.3 gram per kg body weight. So if you're a 50 kg person, then you do the math. It can be about 15 grams of protein per meal. And it also depends on the age, the target. Like, for example, young adolescent boys may have a need of anywhere between 3,000, 3,500 calorie diet. And, gone are the days where we did the math and we said we'll do 60% calorie from carb, and we will do, say, 10-15% from protein. It doesn't work that way anymore. So we have a different guidelines for the athletic community. So we go by these kind of calculations. So 0.3, 0.4, and of course in the coming slides you will also understand what is the type of sport. Okay, because everybody who's doing sports specific training is not just looking only at the skill set related to that sport. Like a bowler may look at say just his fitness conditioning in a way that can improve his bowling, or say a racket guy may look at his his rally, or a footballer may dribble or whatever. So each sport has its requirement to where they are training, but whatever be it, the baseline to the strength is eventually some fitness conditioning, calisthenics, body weight exercise. I'm sure we have fraternity here who are participating today are also from the fitness industry. So in fact, you all will know better than me, because I'm a dietitian and I only know certain limited aspect of it as a dietitian. So here you will definitely be looking at intakes of anywhere upwards from 1.5 gram, and many times it can go beyond 2 gram. And what you hear and say of, oh, protein is bad, protein can lead to kidney problems, liver problem, it will lead to so many other aspects. Please, there is no ounce of truth to any of that. As Indians, believe me, we always have a challenge to get adequate protein in our diets from food, and supplements can be a great value addition there when the need for protein intake is very high. So like I said, it can go upwards. If you see the Western data that suggests anywhere upwards from even 2.5 gram per kg body weight is also still acceptable. So which means is actually very high, over 120, 150 grams of protein. So you can't just meet that kind of demand from food because you eat a blob of chicken breast and that's over 20-25 gram protein. And theoretically, mind you, we're not even talking of digestion, absorption, how it is cooked. And grilling anyway dries the meat, which means the absorption or the digestion of the protein comes down. So cooking method also influences, and also depends. Are you a guy who eats eggs and has tea with the food? So tea has tannins and caffeine, and it is going to bring down the absorption of protein. So there is nutrient interaction. So all that you eat doesn't become protein in the body and convert to muscle. So there is also something called as bioavailability, and that is highly complicated and varies. So in endurance, we can go anywhere from upwards from 1.2 to up to 1.4 grams of protein per kg body weight, because endurance athletes, anybody who does activity beyond say 60 or 90 minutes, they are the ones who are the endurance athletes. So they definitely require slightly lesser protein than somebody who looks at strength training. Now, this is a very interesting aspect. Now, there are some amino acids in the body that there is always, like the way I was talking of some savings yesterday, we always have some, like in the body, like the way we kind of save by rule as a requirement in life. Everybody knows that if you plan your earning well, you have to keep some little, stash of your emergency fund. Right. So similarly, that way the body has an amino acid pool, meaning that it always can convert one amino acid into another amino acid. Okay. Like for example, methionine is broken down. I think it for what I forget now, it forms what homocysteine, or homocysteine is converted. So the body has a way of recycling these things. Okay. Now, but however, some things cannot be manufactured or made within the body, meaning the body will have to take it only from the food, and that is called the essential amino acid, and that comes only from non-veg foods, dairy, meaning milk, curd, cheese, okay, buttermilk, anything that comes, paneer, anything from the milk product. Now, they are basically these 8 amino acids, and arginine and histidine, based on the condition, can become semi-essential. Now, why I was talking about this is branch chain amino acid, mainly 3: valine, leucine, isoleucine. Now, anytime an athlete is working out, I'm sure if you are connected from this industry, you will positively would have heard, I take branch chain amino acid during workout. So, do you need to take branch chain amino acids during your, physical training? This is a very intriguing question. So, until a few years ago, I also did not know much about it. Now, considering that actually, if you look at your good quality protein in your diet, now essential amino acids are 8, like the way I explained to you, which is basically your 3 branch chain amino acid: valine, isoleucine, leucine. Then what? VILL, lysine. Then you have phenylalanine, okay, methionine, threonine, and tryptophan. So basically, those essential amino acids also you get something called as a powder form, where you can take that during the workout. Now, the basic message here is that when you work out, and based on the intensity, high intensity workout, or if it is more than 1 hour, what you really need during your workout is carbohydrate, meaning we talked about an isotonic drink. Like you may have seen Sindhu when she is doing her, her rally, or she takes in between, you would have seen her take a bite of banana. We have athletes who eat some dates or raisins. You have athletes, you will see them drink sports drink in a competition. You will definitely see them have a gel during, in between when they get a break. And depends on the sport. Like in football, you get only half time. Or in cricket also, there is a stipulated break only to consume. So you can't, have it as and when you like. So the takeaway message here, branch chain amino acids actually can be more harmful because they can interfere with the uptake of the protein. And during the workout, anyway, amino acids don't feed the working muscle. Yesterday, we talked about it in detail of how it is the liver glycogen and the muscle glycogen, and otherwise also even the glucose that is circulating in the body. In the endurance chapter, you will study a little more about how fat oxidation can occur. But that also is, again, a very complicated pathway based again on the lower to moderate intensity workout. So fat oxidation can occur, beta oxidation, that is breakdown of fats, and that can become the fuel. Like I was giving you example of a petrol car, diesel car. But you can never run a car on water yet. So far, we have not discovered that. We have learned to find electric car. So similarly, the amino acids are not a fuel. It's like saying I'll run my car on water, but amino acids actually don't feed our working muscles. Okay, so there is a misconception there. At least that's what the latest science in the data is saying. Okay, I mean, I wish I probably should have quoted some studies here. Now, what are the ideal times to take the protein? Okay, there is no one answer to this. Though ideally you would have heard athletes say, should I take it as I finish my training? So typically you can take it definitely the anabolic window period, where we say MPS, muscle protein synthesis, which is highest when there is a stimulus of a weight bearing exercise. And that is absolutely true, because it opens up as you finish working out, and then you have a time that up to 2 hours you have a maximum window period, especially when we talked of carbohydrate, this glycogen resynthesis. Why should you eat a snack immediately? Depending on your goals, we cannot generalize again. It can vary for everybody. But yesterday I talked about the same thing. When the liver, the enzyme glycogen synthase is very high, when the liver glycogen is totally come down and low. So whatever you eat in the first few minutes after your workout, the body, the glycogen synthase is going to take that carbohydrate and convert it back to glycogen and not fat in the body. So the best time to eat is actually after your workout and your exercise. So the anabolic window period is quite a crucial time where you can really look at training adaptations, or the way you want to do that, how based on what your objectives or your goals are. So protein also is very important, that you could definitely look at consuming it as you finish your workout. But more importantly, today we know that yes, the longer you delay, you can keep waiting for either 2 hours where that anabolic prime window period is, or maybe even if you eat after 4 hours. The only challenge here is understanding what is catabolism. Like I already gave you an idea, muscles are being built, muscles are also being broken down. So the longer you delay and do not eat, you are also losing that muscle mass. So that is not what you will want if you are an athlete. So you could look at early morning, before workout, during workout, post workout. Definitely we now know of sleep protein. So there are many research studies which have been conclusive about the benefits of bedtime protein. So like I said, in the refueling and the recovery part, that is where your protein can be a great value addition. Now in the few coming slides, you will definitely look at some of this. So like I have several kids or coaches who always ask me, but I used to always eat a lot of eggs, like 3 eggs, 6 eggs, but why should I definitely look at consuming a dairy product? Okay, so milk, a lot of studies have been conducted on chocolate milk, and maybe in the discussion, please remind me. I would like to take questions too. Probably once we do in the next slides, you yourself will be able to give me this answer, and I would like you to just make a note of this slide as to milk is better or eggs are better, and you should be able to give me this answer. So based on every individual, okay, so like if they're a young athlete, like an adolescent, okay, versus somebody who probably doesn't need a very high intake of protein, but yes, anywhere between 15 to 25. So we know that now we need about at least 20-25 grams of protein, okay, and spread across 3 to 4 meals for maximum benefit. It's not about just taking one time, but it is to ensure that you continue to take your protein throughout the 24 hours. Like I told you, the prime anabolic window period, though it may be important, but it is not the standalone point. It is also equally important that you continue to feed your body and your muscles a consistent amount of protein throughout for the maximal benefit. So if you see here, dairy 1 glass is only 7 grams, whereas if you do chicken, again based on the type of the cut or the part of the bird, the protein can vary. So curd is again, in a lot of people consume lassi, smoothie, okay, and definitely you have eggs, and I can't see the last one. I don't know what that is. Okay, that's the whey protein supplement. Now coming to whey protein, why would anybody take a supplement when you could probably consume a glass of milk? Now if you go back to the previous slide, our target for an adult would be, say, 25 grams of protein. So please do your math here. If a glass of milk is going to give us 7 grams of protein, just for me to get the 25 grams of protein, how much milk would I need? Yes. So I think this is where you kind of have to understand, why would supplements be crucial for somebody? Okay. Now, obviously there is going to be logistic challenge in doing large volume, because you have to probably then do over 3 glasses, that is 750 ml. It is close to a liter. If we are going to say, and as you age, your protein requirement goes up. So if you're a master athlete and say you're 50 years or 55, like I do have some athletes in Bangalore who train with me who are in that age group. So what is going to happen to that athlete? Will he be able to take 1 liter of milk after his training? So there are obviously challenges and problems and practicality in consuming larger volume unless and until you are, say, a non-vegetarian, or you can do large amount of egg whites. And also there are digestion challenges. You can't just eat very heavy or high amount of protein routinely, because the digestion can kind of make you feel sluggish. Okay, because tryptophan or the amino acid that comes from the food also has so many other nutrient kind of pathways. We talked of neurotransmitters, or I am sure anybody who probably practices non-vegetarian food, you eat, say, something which is very heavy and you eat non-veg. I don't know how many of you do feel like taking a snooze and sleep in the afternoon after lunch, because because the digestion can take a bit of energy and can slow you down. And imagine if an athlete is training 3 times a day, so he needs to eat a heavy diet with 25-gram protein and go back to training in 2 hours, sometimes even less than an hour. So you have to understand why protein supplements can be how do you say, an alternative. So because food alone sometimes can be challenging, whereas with protein, if you are just going to take 1 scoop, you're getting the quality protein, and and definitely the digestion and absorption. I think that's something we must discuss in the coming slides. So now the common type of supplements that comes from the milk is if you break the paneer at home and the water comes out, that which was an accidental discovery of whey industry, that gets powdered and that becomes the whey protein. And what is left, the paneer, okay, what is typically your chena or your paneer, that is powdered and that becomes the casein. And most studies have been done with casein as the sleep protein. So that's where most of the data is. But if you are not somebody who will look at consuming your milk product, then there are several different types of protein also that are available in the market today, and that can be albumin coming from eggs. You have hemp, again, what is this? Hemp is like your a couple of verticals to that hemp, cannabinoid and your marijuana. So, but however, you have to be a little careful, because in some countries, you cannot have this THC or tetrahydrocannabinol. Okay, this should be at a basically zero amount present in the product, because it's banned. And it is not legal, unlike some countries, in US, or where, it is acceptable. And also depends again on the region. So, but however, yes, the hemp protein is also quite popular now. And of course, it also has the omega-3. Now, pea protein is typically used. I've in fact had one lady even share her pumpkin seed protein with me. Quite interesting flavor. It has a slightly beady kind of a texture. Okay. Similarly, your soya protein, we've just talked in detail about soya. Now, quinoa and rice. Okay. So but guys, like I told you, you have to pay attention that cereals, that is your grains, will lack lysine, and your soya, of course, is a complete protein, but your pea also is low in methionine, the essential amino acid. So it's always good to combine, say, a grain with a protein coming from the pulse. So mixed proteins actually have a better quality of the protein. Now with whey itself, you have hydrolysate, you have concentrate, and you have isolate. Now, the one characteristic difference about the concentrate, which is typically the most common form, is that it has lactose, or the sweetener, or the milk sweetener present in it, and it's sweeter to taste. But however, if somebody is predisposed to being intolerant to this lactose, like for example, you have milk and you feel a bit of cramps, bloating, gas, loose stool, you will not be able to handle this lactose, because it is going to cause a tummy upset for you. So whereas an isolate is far more processed, meaning that it has got more protein, obviously the cost is also more, but it is lactose free, meaning that if you are somebody who's very particular about the the taste of it, and you will not find it appetizing. Okay. And so obviously isolate, I don't know, some of you may have already been using it. So flavored ones obviously have artificial sweetener, or for that matter, unfortunately, I don't know why, for some reason, these most of these protein supplements come with a synthetic flavor or an artificial sweetener, which is totally unnecessary. Because yesterday, if you saw in the carbohydrate, we actually need carbohydrates post exercise. So it can be even sugar, and the sugar is not going to convert to fat. The sugar is going to go into your liver and become glycogen. So it's a different pathway. It's complicated. So hydrolysate again is definitely highly more expensive, highly processed, or in a way that it can be fast absorbing. So that's actually the best. But again, so there are many products that can come with blends. Now, the only reason that you can use a supplement is because it's very easy to quantify. Your target is 25 grams of protein. If you had to sit and eat, say, 4 eggs. Now, eggs also are excellent. Eggs have the omega-3, vitamin E, from biotin, name it, it has everything in the yolk. But it also has 300 mg cholesterol. Now, the cholesterol requirement, or the upper limit of cholesterol intake, is 400 mg. Yes, 400 mg. Yeah, right. 400 mg a day. Whereas there is, in just one yolk, there is almost, over, I think, 300 mg of cholesterol. So it depends, because the atherosclerosis or the plaque building that occurs is not what happens at 40 years, 50 years. It is what actually you have eaten through your early years, starting from teenage, or from the child is probably 1 or 2 years, right? Actually, if you go back to the data, and that is what it suggests. So it also depends, and again, in totality, how you are looking at your food intake. So if you're going to calculate and say, oh my god, 25 grams means 1 egg is 6 grams, so then I have to do, for 25 I have to do 4 eggs at a given time. And not to mention the digestibility, okay, because it's not just going into your bloodstream. Whereas with whey, what is easy is that you can manage its calorie value. It can be sugar free or with sugar. Okay, so you can mix and match, and you can adjust your type of the whey protein. So obviously it has its benefit, because it is highly superior, meaning it is high quality protein. Definitely we talked of your essential amino acids. So it's very easy to get that in one shot. You take one scoop, it is convenient. And definitely, unlike an egg that can sit in your stomach for, say, 3 hours, or chicken that can be there for, based on the type of chicken, again, is it deep fried, the amount of oil that is used to make, is it red meat? Red meat also has high amount of saturated fats. So fats, I've explained to you in the first chapter, fats have 9 calories per gram, meaning that it can be very, very slow to digestion. So if you eat something more heavy, it's going to sit in your stomach for a longer time. So that means that obviously absorption rate comes down. Whereas with whey, you know that it's guaranteed that it's quick absorbing, meaning that there is no delay. So apart that, of course, you have all these little fragments of amino acids which have several important functions in the body, like cysteine feeds the antioxidant glutathione peroxidase. The methionine we've already talked about is an essential amino acid, and that again can be an antioxidant. Now this leucine, very, very important, guys, please make a note. Leucine threshold, meaning that what stimulates the muscle protein synthesis is actually the leucine, and this amino acid is extremely important. Okay, so similarly, we've already been have we talked of glutamine yet? Okay, there's another slide on glutamine. So glutamine again is extremely important for your immunity, gut immunity, or the way your stomach or your gastrointestinal tract can function. Okay, now arginine, we may discuss arginine another time, where we are talking of nitric oxide, vasodilator, increased oxygen capacity. So arginine itself can be taken as a separate amino acid, which we'll discuss in the sports specific chapter. Now tryptophan I've been talking about, which is basically again another amino acid, and tryptophan also converts to one very important amino acid, vitamin. Tryptophan converts to B3, niacin. So the only vitamin that can be converted in the body. So high quality protein comes from non-veg food, or definitely your whey. And calcium, of course, goes without saying, for even your muscle contraction, you need your calcium. So how whey can be important is in the anabolic window period, it is very easy for it to be absorbed, and it goes straight into your muscle. Okay, so and so therefore you're not wasting too much time where muscle is also breaking down, where food is being digested for about say 3 to 5 hours, it goes in the intestine, then it will be absorbed as amino acid. So it can help in instant recovery, especially when you do your strength training, which is basically, ideally you should do strength training, weight bearing exercise, calisthenics, body weight exercise, or anything that has a stimulus to the muscle for it to absorb the protein better. That is especially if it's a protein supplement. Otherwise, it is useless to take the protein supplement unless and until you are living in Sahara desert and you ran out of food and you don't have anything to eat. Okay, otherwise it's always food first. And definitely it can help in managing your weight, satiety, and also in diabetics. And isolate can be a value addition to maintain your blood sugars. However, there's a cost involved. Obviously, these products are very expensive, especially if you're say an elite athlete and you're looking at dope-free supplementation. Obviously, looking at third-party licensing, informed choice, or things like that. Obviously, the cost just gets very escalated easily by $1,000. So or more. So obviously this comes at quite an expense. Then many times, yes, there is an artificial sweetener, definitely artificial flavoring agents. Today, you name it, it's there. Chocolate, mocha, coffee, brownie. I think you guys will know better than me, those of you who are using supplements. Today, you name it, you flavors, mango, strawberry, and I don't even know from where these things come into the protein. So definitely, and then you have to be very careful about the quality of protein. And like I mentioned, sometimes based on what type of protein it is, it can lead to digestion issues. And of course, because whey also has an insulin relation, right? So whey itself is insulinogenic, meaning that it can lead to acne. In fact, I've had an athlete who just erupted into acne all over, and the boy was in prime adolescence, and we had to move him into a pea protein. So that can be an issue. And yes, if you're prone to kidney stones, probably excess protein can lead to that, but that's a rarity. Okay, and if unnecessarily without doing exercise and you think protein is going to make you very dandy and very fancy and toned, you're mistaken. You need to work out well and you need to plan your diet, otherwise it's going to weight gain, because food, the body will use it like food and oxidize, meaning that it's going to just digest it, not for muscle building, but and also any extra calorie, be it from sugar, carbohydrate, or from protein, that is chicken or eggs or protein supplement. The body will still convert it into adipose tissue if you are overdoing the calorie intake. So you have to be very careful with how much you're taking. And so this is an interesting slide. So if you're a vegetarian and you do not consume dairy, then from where are you going to get your leucine? So, and we think actually corn is not so helpful choice of food, because it actually has a tertiary protein called zein. But however, if you read up the literature, it actually, we talked of leucine threshold and muscle protein synthesis, or MPS. So if you see here, corn has a good quality of leucine, and this is the research article which actually says of how the leucine content of these, if you see the essential amino acid and the leucine content. So the graph on the right, okay, where you see last but one before the colored blocks are. So obviously the dairy has the highest leucine, and then you can also see egg is decent. But if you see in the second graph where you see the bar, actually corn has very high amount of leucine. Now glutamine, okay, I think we're almost approaching towards the end. Probably we can also do fats in the coming chapter with vitamins, minerals. Okay, so maybe we'll wind up with proteins today, and we can take questions. So now a lot of athletes, you will see, they practice or they consume glutamine very routinely. Now this is something else. I mean, this is something that needs to be kind of probed in the way that why you need to take glutamine, or do you need to take glutamine at all? So just because you are going to the gym, you do not need glutamine. The glutamine is one amino acid. Actually, the body doesn't need it because it is not even semi-essential. Sorry, I think it's a non-essential amino acid, meaning that the body actually has. And if you eat a healthy diet and you are already consuming a lot of non-vegetarian food in your meals, you really don't need to take the glutamine. Now, who are the athletes who actually need to consume this? So typically, if you see the practice, 0.3 to 0.5 gram of glutamine is typically being used, or if you see the scoop that comes along with the product itself is a very tiny one, meaning it's only 5 grams. But actually speaking, to see the level of glutamine to be elevated in the blood itself, you need over 20 gram of glutamine. So who are the ones who could probably be using this amount of glutamine? The ones who have an issue, probably a vegetarian, vegan, somebody who has a seasonal change or is in the peak training season in a pre-competition cycle where they're falling sick all the time. Somebody who has a GI distress or gut immunity, or who needs to improve their gut immunity, because glutamine and arginine are 2 amino acids again that are used for gut immunity, meaning they strengthen the permeability of the cells in your intestine, okay, and prevent pathogens or any infections. They prevent, say, for example, even somebody who has, say, upper respiratory tract infection. So because of athletic training, the immunity falls. There is higher inflammation and free radicals. So, and probably there is not enough fruit and vegetable intake in the diet. So those are the kind of guys where we may look at, introducing glutamine for the reason that you're falling ill all the time and there is a need, and your training volume or your load is so high that you are not able to, recover. Your muscles are not able to recover. So there you can look at introducing glutamine. But just because you go to the gym and you're into fitness, that doesn't validate you to consume this at all. Now if you see because we were doing a chapter on whey, now whey is in the group A evidence-based listing of the AIS, Australian Institute of Sport, and definitely the IOC consensus statement. Now to wind up, and we will also take questions soon. So now thankfully I have dealt with elite players at even national level. Now what happens in these kind of players, especially when they're, say, I've had in fact quite a bunch of cricketers, I've had a few badminton players. Now they do not consume even eggs. So you can imagine, we are talking of 25 grams of protein that will come from one meal after the training. In fact, I don't know if I misplaced that slide. I thought I had a bowl of chana and an egg, just to give you an example of how difficult it may be for somebody, even if we're saying 6 grams of protein from, say, eggs versus a chana, which can be 7 grams of protein. But look at the carbohydrate content of, say, a bowl of, rajma or chole, where you're looking at the fiber, which causes gas. You're looking at the carbohydrate amount. If I need to get 25 grams out of that chole, I will have to eat 3 large bowls, katori of it, meaning about, say, quarter kg, 250 grams, 300 grams of cooked weight. It will be logistically very, very challenging. So in these kind of athletes, we have a lot of, planning to do in the way we distribute the protein, because there will be definitely challenges of, eating large volume of the food, and definitely not to mention the the requirement of your muscle, because if you are not getting enough quality protein, obviously the muscle mass is not going to go up how much ever you train. So that's where we have to look at a supplementation of the protein intake. So like I told you, even with one athlete, we have given the whey, but it led to acne. And that is how, through practice, we know that, oh, then that means it can lead to sebum or your increase of your, some hormonal disturbance. So you go back and rechange the protein. Then you document, you track. Okay, everything is basically, honestly, a mix and match, a trial where you are able to kind of, understand the athlete's requirement and adjust accordingly. So eventually, when you look at, from, and also many ways you can educate the athlete and the family in how how they can improve the protein quality. So if you're consuming dals, look at, soaking, changing the water so that you can reduce the phytic acid, sprout them. Similarly, if nuts can cause a lot of bloating and gas, so you have to then tell them that they can soak it and use it in a smoothie. So educate them and guide them in a way that they're able to definitely adapt to these changes better, and in a very slow and steady manner as a lifestyle, and also to be able to give them alternatives, suggestions, and some likes and dislikes. Okay, so also because it's not just dal alone, right? So how much dal can a child eat? So then you kind of be creative with a menu, from sattu to besan to chila to so many other things. Wherever you think you can introduce some dal based kind of a thing, from dokla to so many things that you can incorporate in the menu creatively. So then you obviously see some definitely improvement gradually, and that is again time bound. Body composition changes don't happen overnight. So with a lot of patience of at least over 2 months, you will start noticing the improvement in the training. So definitely look at food first, and and as and when need be, that's where you look at a supplementation. Especially if you're working with elite athletes, look at dope free certification, NSP and BSCG, informed choice, and things like that, so that you very and don't do too many blends. Like they add this, they add that. So look at 1 or 2 products only, where the food label of the product is very clean and neat, so that you can rely on what they are saying. Okay, so I think that's very important. And the takeaway message for the protein here is that definitely look at higher quality HBV, high biological value protein, over 20 grams, and not just in the prime anabolic window period, but over 3 to 4 meals across 24 hours. If you see muscle building, it can go up to, even today we have research to say that it's not just one time, but it can, the process can go on up to 2 days. Okay, and definitely if you are in a carb restricted diet, like somebody asked me that question, weight loss, how do you do that? So then you definitely have to adjust the protein intake. So maybe we'll do this fats in the next session, so that we can take, I'd like to take questions.
Hi. Geeta, I must say that you have such a quality where you are explaining such a complicated thing in very easiest way, so all can understand. And people like me, who is not from such background, are also very keen to learn more things. So hats off to you.
Oh, thank you so much, because I know I wish this was a lecture. Someday I hope I'll come to university, do a in-class session.
Oh, wonderful. We'll definitely plan for that.
But yeah, with the given possibility now, we will be able to only do this. So in fact, yesterday's feedback also, if there's anything you can share, or if what our participants want, we can deliver better.
Sure, we'll share. Actually, in today's feedback link, we have added few questions regarding the session. So we'll get their views on the sessions, and the what are their expectations from such session and for the upcoming sessions.
Oh, right. That will be very helpful for me also. If you have, guys, this is definitely an open session, and I'm trying my best to help you guys. So if you have anything that you would like me to, kind of include, or do share it with Janvi, so that it can be communicated with me. So there's a question from Samin. Should we count protein as 1.62 gram to total body weight, or just fat-free mass? No, not fat-free mass. It is to total weight. Okay,
there are a few questions in chat box also.
Okay, I'm coming to the chat box, guys. So thanks to everybody. Now the numbers have really picked up. I appreciate all of you. Those of you who are celebrating your festival today and who attended, I really feel nice that you've taken time to attend this. Okay, a lot of questions. Oh, quite a bit. Okay, all right. Now, okay. Okay, guys, get it trickling little by little, okay? Because then otherwise the whole chat box opens up right at the bottom. So what is it? Your take on pea protein? I've already explained this, Prem. Pea protein lacks methionine, so try and do a mixed protein.
I'm allowing Samir to talk. He wants to ask us questions. Samir, you can unmute yourself.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
No, that's the question I asked already. So I just forgot to lower my hand. Sorry.
No problem.
No problem, sir. So collagen is taken for aging skin. Guys, aging skin can be due to, see, honestly, now I'm at my age, you do my math. After my post-graduation, I'm working for 18 and a half years and more. So, you know, there is going to be but a little bit of a natural thing unless and until I do Botox, which is a neurotoxin and it pauses your aging process. So what I'm saying is it's okay. It's a part of the normal process. So what I'm saying here is you also have to look at healthy lifestyle in terms of, you know, fruit, vegetable intake. Those antioxidants also prevent aging. Now your phytonutrients, we're talking of EGCG, epigallocatechin gallate from green tea. Okay, you have to look at phytonutrients or what is that called? The phytochemicals. Aging can be a very complicated process. Just because you take collagen, you'll stop aging. So somehow it makes no sense for me. You have to lead a healthy lifestyle, exercise, eat healthy balanced meals, and definitely look at so many other chemicals. Now, in the name of aging, today, like you aptly said, Prem has said, the industry market is booming. I totally agree with you because everybody is so vulnerable, and the industry plays on this sensitive psychology that if you take this is what happens. Look at makeup industry. The makeup itself has so many chemicals that can actually lead to aging process, because it's not just the pollution, the carbon monoxide, the chemicals, or, you know, for that matter, the sunlight, the UV rays also can damage the skin, right? So there are and also your genetic you know, blueprint. Like, I don't know if you're able to see me. I'm totally gray. I'm pepper, black and white. So, you know, salt and pepper. So, but I'm okay with it, and that's my genetic blueprint because everybody in my family is gray, and so it really depends. Okay, so probably I don't know how much collagen could help, but in my opinion, I may be wrong, but this is my take. Okay, that in my opinion, you still have to look at the overall lifestyle, your stress management, because stress is a part of all our lives, right? I mean, including me, including Janvi. We are all doing this on a Sunday, and Janvi, in fact, as I've been in touch for over 2 months to even have this to be materialized. So it takes a lot of, you know, extra effort for everybody. So sleep quality, and again, that's complicated with today's you know, being homebound, pandemic, gadgets. So there are many aspects to aging. So I think I would definitely decide that eat healthy, exercise, moderate exercise, not like athletes have high intensity or higher load of training, due to which actually there can be aging because of the DNA damage. Okay, like I talked of that charbroiled foods, the tandoori chicken, that itself can lead to cancer because it changes your DNA. Now, what about today we are talking so much about thank heavens this year I've been a little more methodical in my meditation or whatever little yoga I've been doing. So your yoga approach and some practices of your pranayam to exercise, moderate exercise in balance itself can reduce aging and also have a positive impact on your genetic pool. So you have to look at many aspects, if you ask me personally. Okay, apart your healthy diet, fruit, vegetable intake. 100 ml isotonic sip is what? Okay, I can't see the full name, but 100 ml isotonic sip. Yeah, I'm assuming isotonic solution. Okay, Baba, 100 ml is an example. An athlete may need 1-2 liters of water for one training session. Isotonic means it has 6% in 100 ml because percent is always 100. I gave it as an example. I hope I'm able to clarify. We'll deal with it in detail in hydration next week, okay? Ma'am, if someone is watching his or her carbohydrate on fat loss diet, as a result, they are experiencing irritation. What can they make so that their fat loss is not stalled? Okay, like I already gave you a basic ballpoint view of, yes, if you are hungry and you're not eating well, you can be irritable. Now, also, irritability can be due to several other aspects, okay? If you have nutritional deficiency, I knew of somebody recently who had hemoglobin at 6. I am quite surprised she's still alive, because, you know, if you fall down and you feel like giddy or you're fainting and you can hit your head, you can have a concussion. So at 6, I couldn't believe that she had still not taken an injection. And also, these things are a bit complicated. We don't know why. Are they, see, as you age, the absorption and bioavailability comes down. So it's complicated. So if you're looking at carbohydrate intake, you obviously don't do anything very, very less. It's called VLCD, very low calorie diet, meaning that you can't do anything below 1200 calorie, because if your metabolism slumps below, basal metabolic rate slumps below 1002, which means that you are already going to be cranky, right? Because yeah, like we talked of neurotransmitters, serotonin. Now serotonin is a calming hormone, or endorphins, the chemicals that release in your brain when you exercise, or you feel good about it. Like, I don't know how many of you do that. You exercise, you sometimes you feel a bit lazy, but you start working out and you start sweating and you feel good at the end of that half an hour. So that is endorphins. So there are many things that can kind of, you know, play on your mood. Like, for that matter, even just eating a banana, to certain foods like omega-3. We know today that food has a great impact, like vitamin D rich foods. They all have an influence on your mind, and they can also make you feel good. So so fat loss is all about exercising and weight bearing exercise. And you know, you have to, it's not just cutting carbohydrate, because without exercise there is no weight loss, there is no fat loss, period. Okay, so how to cook food to get high amount of protein? Best thing is always, Kavita, light, low flame. Try not to burn your food, sometimes, which I do by mistake in my tadka. Okay, and if you are a non-vegetarian, please look at healthy cooking practices, which are basically using simple boiling method, boiling, steaming, and probably at the most on the tawa, which uses less oil. Because the minute you look at grilling, microwaving, deep frying, then it, especially if it's non-veg food, it is of no use, useless. So which protein powder is good to avoid acne? Oh, no, Baba, acne is very subjective. It depends as to who will react to it. Doesn't mean that one individual will get acne, everybody will get. No. So it really depends on, you know, are you a child who has hormonal changes, or, you know, probably you're prone to it. Doesn't mean that one person will get, everybody will get. No. So whey protein can have an insulinogenic effect, meaning that it increases insulin. Insulin also has other functions. So it can stimulate the fat glands that is in your skin called sebum. So sebum is nothing but the oil glands that secrete oil in your skin. So that can lead to acne. Which age? Ansu is asking which age we can start giving whey protein. Ansu, you're asking a very difficult question, okay? So see, it really depends, okay? Now, I know that in the younger athletes, I deal with it in something called as, you know, category. Now, of course, in adolescence, we do use whey, provided you always have to work with a professional. Obviously, in the professional setting, you have to be able to take the consent of the parent. The child cannot decide. Secondly, depends as to why you are able to use the protein supplement. Where in Bangalore, the academy will be 1 hour, 1.5 hours from your house, meaning that they will really have to plan their recovery strategy. Are they vegetarian? Or, like I have already told you, I have been very fortunate to deal with some athletes who are pure vegetarian, they don't consume eggs. I have rarely dealt with a vegan athlete where they don't consume any dairy, but it's very challenging because there are nutritional deficiency, B12, iron, vitamin D. There are a lot of, you know, low levels in the blood. So you have to see if the whey protein is really going to be crucial for that athlete. Is a child having low protein in the diet, fussy eater, low weight, falling ill always? So then you have to discuss the plan and the strategy with the parents in younger age group. And if you feel there is a need, only then ethically, if you see the International Olympic Committee consensus statement, below 18 years of age, unnecessary supplementation is unethical and unnecessary. So you, firstly, you have to have your moral compass correct in order for you to be able to justify, or you should be, you know, convinced that yes, this can be a good thing. Only then you must do it. Kidney cyst patient can take protein powder? Yes, absolutely. Okay, unless and until there is no other complication. Okay, but protein, I think no correlation, as far as I understand, there is no correlation and protein, because they're also eating protein from food, right? Okay, if you do not consume fish, then yes, fish oil can be definitely a value addition, because it has so many important functions which we'll deal in the chapter fats. I mean, fat is not a chapter. Actually, it's not a chapter in your curriculum that we discussed and we conceptualized. But I think one or two aspects about fats you must know. That is why I wanted to just walk you through one or two things. Sheikh is asking about keratin supplements. For what specific reason is that? Keratin is basically a tertiary protein. What is it needed for? You'll have to clarify, Sheikh. Oh, no. This is an interesting question. I'm glad someone asked. Amber. Amber, there is never a gap. In fact, you take the carbohydrate and protein together after workout for the maximum benefit. Yes, you can take sugars post-workout. Can sugars immediately post-workout suppress the spiked growth hormone, which is beneficial? Okay, this is an interesting question. See, high GI foods can actually bring down this growth hormone. Okay, now there is a in fact, just remind me, let me make a note of this. Okay, just give me 1 sec, let me make a note of this. Next class I'm going to just tell you about this. Okay, the growth hormone and carbohydrate correlation, because I had done one seminar on female athletes and I had worked up a presentation for this for the growth hormone. So a high GI meal can reduce growth hormone, but again that is several dependent in so many ways. But you don't have to see, for that matter, it's not just sugar is not even needed, but you're also going to do high carbohydrate intake post workout, right? So that's a complicated one. Unless and until you're looking at some kind of a training adaptation and you're going to do a carb free meal, then you can only look at protein. Okay, so like I've also said in the previous class, there is only no one road to Rome. There are many ways you can play along. Creatine monohydrate shake. Too many questions, guys. Ask relevant chapter questions. No, creatine we will deal with strength and power sports. Okay, yes, creatine monohydrate is a great value addition, but depends on why and for whom and which kind of a sport. So we will discuss that in strength and power sports. Okay. Yes, Yuvesh, ideally, if you see, we can do anywhere between 3:1 or 2:1 amount of carbohydrate protein. Meaning, if you are doing 20 grams of protein, you could do anywhere between, see, if you see the carbohydrate guidelines itself, we saw 1 gram per kg body weight for recovery. Did you remember that from yesterday's chapter? So, if you're doing even, say, 2 eggs, that's 12 gram. 12, 24, 36. So that could be approximately, say, 2 chapatis or 2 slices of bread or something like that that you do along with it. So that way you're maintaining the carbohydrate and protein amounts. Okay, what are keratin supplements taken for? I'm sorry, Sheikh, I really do not know. But whey is taken for, the reason that it is the highest amount of leucine, and it gives about 1 scoop gives about 2.5 or around that ballpark of a stimulus of the leucine, what we have just studied about, and there is no other replacement to leucine for muscle protein synthesis. So I think that's the reason whey can be a value addition. Keto diet, Renu. Keto, like we now know with conclusive evidence that high fat diets actually bring down the performance. And though we talked of train low, or we said we go carbohydrate free, there are a lot of challenges to that, and there is no benefit unless and until it's for a short duration, or you kind of play along and do carb cycling. but a keto diet can be very challenging, not just for you to settle down in the first 2-3 weeks, because keto diet is again just predominantly protein based and carbohydrate, and again it depends on what kind of a sport. So if you're looking at say a badminton player who needs to be very agile and has a high intensity requirement, he will not be able to perform because your training is thwarted. So keto diet for an athlete can be very, very challenging. And now we have conclusive data to say a high fat diet actually, or for that matter, a low carb diet cannot help performance. That is conclusive data. Okay, I think we have taken all questions. Any more questions? What about someone who has high uric acid? Okay, so the uric acid itself is a breakdown of your protein, meaning it forms into your, what is that? Protein is broken down and it is purines. Purines are formed, and that's how the uric acid crystals deposit and can lead to gout. Now they have to moderate the protein, okay, because also the type of protein or the quality of the or the choice of protein to be appropriate. Uric acid can be managed with certain foods that can flush out uric acid. Definitely weight loss, because most of these guys who have high uric acid have very high amount of weight. Okay, so they have to look at weight loss diet, cut carb, exercise, and definitely certain foods like strawberries and vitamin C can flush uric acid crystals. Now sardines, mackerel has to be avoided. So there are certain things that have to be avoided in uric acid. Otherwise, for well-being, protein has to be taken. You cannot avoid protein, but you have to restrict the amount, meaning you don't have to do that 1.52 grams of protein, even if they are an athlete. But then you have to see why they are, either you can be an athlete, then you are looking at, avoiding certain foods which can trigger high uric acid, soya, sardines, mackerel, okay, red meats, I think, or organ meats, I forget now. So those kind of foods have to be avoided in uric acid so that you can bring it down. And complementary practices of, like I gave you suggestion of these berries and things like that can flush out the uric acid. So there's nothing called as best, Aishwarya. What is important in the types of ways depends on the kind of cost you have. No? An athlete sometimes pays to the coach, the academy, the dietitian, the supplements. So it's very expensive affair to play a sport. So concentrate is the cheaper one. So that's typically what is used as a blend in many products. But isolate is obviously superior. There are also some brands which are decent brands with isolate. So it depends why you need it. Somebody who is lactose intolerant, like I had a marathon runner who wouldn't be able to tolerate the minute you take the whey, without understanding he had taken, and he used to have a lot of gas, bloating, loose stool. So that's when you talk to a professional and they know that, oh, did you take a whey concentrate? Then we were able to pinpoint. So when you do this on your own, you can do a lot of mistakes. So all right, guys, so over to Janvi.
So thank you so much. As we can see, so many related question and so many other, question we are getting from the participants. Means they are actively participating in this event and webinar. I would like to share one important information that for next Saturday, we will share the registration link in a WhatsApp group as well as by email to all the participants. You have to register again because this is 8-weekend program, right? So one link cannot be useful for all 4 weeks. So again, next week you have to do registration in a Zoom webinar, and you'll get the webinar link in your email address. And you will get the panelist link by email from our university, right?
So I'll get a new link.
You will get a new link.
Oh, okay, got it. Okay, glad.
Farul, could you please write down your WhatsApp number? So Neeraj sir will add you in a WhatsApp group. It will be more easy to share all the information at one platform. So those who are not there in the WhatsApp, please share your WhatsApp number and we will add you in the group. Neeraj sir, could you please note down this number? I'll take a photo.
Yes,
okay, you are there. Fine. Shweta ma'am is also not there. So thank you so much for a wonderful presentation. We will meet again next week, Saturday, 4 o'clock. And wish you happy Raksha Bandhan to all the participants. I really appreciate, your dedication and commitment for this program, because even we had a celebration at our place. So I can understand that managing all things together, it's very difficult. So thank you so much again. And thank you, Ms. Geeta, for your time and information you have shared with us.
Thanks, Janvi. Okay, guys, see you everybody. See you next week.
Thank you. Good night.